My guest today on the Essential Coaching Skills podcast is Shauna Cummins. Shauna is the author of Wishcraft, a wonderful book, and we'll talk about this and what wishes have to do with coaching when we get together on the Essential Coaching Skills podcast. A wonderful thing about live recording is you never know what's going to happen. So let's go to the recording. You are listening to the Essential Coaching Skills podcast, a show devoted to uncovering the systems and the secrets that set the best apart, where you learn how to take your coaching clients to the next level, while you grow the coaching practice of your dreams. So sit back and relax, or sit up and get excited. Either way, you might want to pay attention. This could be important. Hello, Shauna Cummins.
Hi, nice to be here.
Welcome to the podcast. Hey, you're in New York City right now.
Yeah.
But this book of yours you wrote while you were up in this neck of the woods. You wrote this up in Woodstock, didn't you?
Yes. I wrote it at Birdcliff Art Colony in Woodstock in the Hudson Valley. It's very, very beautiful, inspiring place to write it.
That's an amazing place, actually. It's like, what, 2,000 years old or something?
I think so, yeah. It was like a little after. BC, I think,
art colony, artist colony, community or something, 100 years old at least?
Allegedly it's the oldest art colony, art residency in North America. So I think it's around the turn of the century, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Neat.
Yeah.
So cool. And tell me about it. Wishcraft. How is this? Just wishing don't make it so, Shauna.
That's where the craft comes in.
Okay, tell us all about it.
So yeah, Wishcraft is kind of my my version of introducing people to having their own self-hypnosis ritual practice is what I call it. So understanding that hypnosis, self-hypnosis especially, is really a natural ability and a practice, and the ability of envisioning, dreaming, wishing for what you want or what you would like to see happen is something that we've been doing since we're little, and something humans have been doing since probably the beginning of time, beginning of human time. So it's a very natural, kind of ability that we have. But at the same time, when I did my hypnosis training, I felt like, oh my gosh, like I think a lot of people feel like this when they do hypnosis training. Like, I have been doing this in some way since I was younger. It's just I didn't know exactly how to do it. And so really learning it like a practice, takes it into a place where you can get better and better at it. So Wishcraft is my way of taking hypnosis and, having a like homage to its like mystical roots, but also making it practical, whimsical, and, somewhat creative.
Practical, whimsical, and somewhat creative. Yeah, and it is those things. Practical and whimsical, I think, is a really good description of this book. It's a delightful read. It really is delightful. But it is, as you said, also very practical. It gives you hypnosis, if you will, self-hypnosis processes to do, positive intentioning, affirmations, etc., in a way that does seem to actually make a difference. How did you come across all this stuff?
Well, it's one of those things. It's kind of like the timeline travel that you start to do when you start to really get into this work, and you kind of see the constellation of meaningful events in your life as you look back and you integrate them with the resources that you have now, So I kind of came to it at a place when I was really needing some support myself. I had already been practicing hypnosis for a little bit and was going through kind of like a really bad breakup, and a lot of childhood wounds and stuff were kind of like coming to the surface. And I was really annoyed because I thought I had done all this work and that they were gone forever. But then they came in with like new disguises and masks and triggers and stuff. And I was like, like this is very annoying, but I have these tools, and actually it made me realize that it was a huge defining part of my childhood, overcoming being a really sick kid. I really used my imagination as a way to, protect me from being really stressed out in the moment. And I think a lot of times, sick kids do that, and it may be called like disassociation. But once I learned how to be conscious about that disassociation and really consciously imagine, when I was, older, after I had been practicing hypnosis, I was like, this is really beautiful because I can kind of reclaim this practice from childhood and infuse it with all the knowledge and resources that I have now as an adult and as a practitioner, and use it to make my own dreams come true. And so it was at that time where I was like needing something to kind of remedy this kind of weight of self-pity and negative thinking from the breakup. And that was really encouraging myself to take risks into the creative world, take creative leaps, and really bring hypnosis into more of like an art practice, doing performances, doing sound installations, and really taking, like risks into doing fun, cool stuff that I just really wanted to do. And I hadn't really had the confidence to do before. And so I essentially wishcrafted a bunch of fun things to happen. And I was like, wow, this really works very well. And so then I brought it to people as a workshop and an experience. And, it allowed me to have more like whimsical kind of like artistic touches with having like a conceptual wishing well in the workshop, bringing flowers, bringing candles and things like that. And and so it was like this it was kind of like a result of itself, essentially. And then the book came a couple of years after I had been doing the Wishcraft workshops and experiences. And I did get that art residency at Birdcliff as a hypnosis artist, which is something that I call myself. After I kind of came up with the Wishcraft thing, I was like, I'm confident enough now to call myself a hypnosis artist because I don't have anything to prove anymore. I felt like just really embracing it. And so, when I got that residency, they were like, well, we've never taken a healing artist before, but like, this seems really interesting. So we'll take a chance on this. So that was kind of cool. And my proposal there was actually for my hypnosis school, which is called the Divine Feminine School of Hypnosis. And they were like, okay, so I was going to go there and like, write the handbook and maybe do some videos and sound stuff around that. But then when I got there, I was very inspired and obsessed about writing the Book of Wishes. Like I was like, no, I have to write this little book of wishes, this little blessings book that actually, since I was little, it was one of my greatest wishes to write a book, and especially writing like a little book of poetry or wishes. So I was really obsessed with this Book of Wishes, but I wasn't really doing anything about it. I was just wishing for it. I was going to like the local bookstore and gathering a bunch of, books, inspiring books, and like surrounding myself with them and reading them and things like that. But then I reached out to some friends who had published books, and one of them had said that they were having lunch with their publisher that week, and that she would mention something. And so I was like, yeah, that would be great, if I could just reach out to her and see, what's possible or whatever. And then the publisher actually reached out to me, and she said, I was having lunch with Semra, my friend, and she said, you have this Book of Wishes that you want to write. And she's like, it was so ironic because last night, this is what she said, I was going to sleep reading that book, The Secret. And, I thought to myself, we really need a modern version of this. So this Book of Wishes sounds great. Can you send me the proposal like next week? And I was like, oh my God, I got to write that book right now.
Have it done by next week.
So it does have, a kind of, whimsical, but yet functional, part in my own story, And it is something kind of close to my heart, but doesn't mean that it's not a lot of work, but it's definitely been a fun little kind of magic carpet ride.
No, it's not. Yes, and the thing that I really like about it, and just by the way, I wanted to say about the cover. It took me a long time to notice that this cover was not. I thought it was just like a mathematical thing with this stuff, but it's actually a dandelion, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Because I noticed that one of the things comes off the page is longer, so it's like, wait, that's a long one. So it's a dandelion. So it's very, very cool art. And speaking of art, a hypnotic artist, and you've also gone to like what was it, National Gallery of Denmark or something like that, didn't you?
Yeah. That was
So
around
you
the
were
time when I was really putting casting the wishes out there.
pretty
Um,
good. So what did you have at the National? Do I have it right? National Gallery of Denmark.
Yeah, it's basically like the Met of Denmark.
What
Um,
did you do there? Did you do a sound installation? What did you do?
I did a collaboration with an artist, a Danish artist, Joachim Koster, and he works a lot with like kind of exploring liminal spaces through visual work, but also sometimes some sound work. Photography, like weird collage stuff, like so he found me in New York and we worked together, and he really loved the idea of what I do, and he was kind of interested in doing this as well, of bringing kind of like artwork or the experience of someone's artwork into a hypnotic trance. So not only people go to the exhibit, but then they go to this performance where I take them into the world that he's creating, but in their mind. Because it's like just like narrative, kind of
Cool.
hypnotic journey. And he was having like some meditations stations with his exhibits, and so we did a live performance collaborating with an electronic music composer. We did it first at a sound festival in Bergen in Norway. And that was really fun. That was a success. And then the next exhibition, he was like, "Why don't you come here and we'll do a big, kind of performance for the exhibit?" And it was really awesome. Yeah, it was great. It was so fun. It was like being in a band, like because there was the composer and then the artist and me, and we were like just rehearsing. So yeah, it was really beautiful.
But you're also a visual artist, right?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Because I thought I saw in your bio that some of your stuff has been published in the Harper's Bazaar. So how did that work?
Oh, the Harper's Bazaar, that was an article written about.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. Was it an article about Wishcraft?
Yes, they chose Wishcraft as one of the books for Mother's Day. One of the suggested books for Mother's Day. Yeah.
No, because getting back to what I was trying to say before when my mouth wasn't working, is that one of the things I like about it, it is both the positive visualization, like The Secret kind of thing, the law of abundance or whatever that's called. But it has sort of practical things to do, not just think positively or picture it nicely, but you've got actual little processes lined out that when people follow your step-by-step instructions, it's actually got some backbone to it, it seems like.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope so.
Could you just tell us a little bit? Could you describe one of those?
Yeah. So I kind of have it coming from a foundational place of like the 5 pillars of Wishcraft. So the first one, there are 5 C's too, so more or less C's, so you can really remember it easily and kind of build your own practice. The first one is like kind of a C, so it's self-collaboration, and that breaks down to the practice of self-appreciation and self-intimacy, which obviously I'm having a little bit of poetic license there, What that means is the practice of getting better and better at wishing well for yourself, no matter what. And as we know with hypnosis, as a practice, you can really change your neural pathways and create, and influence, an environment in your mind that is much more supportive, with your inner dialogue being much more supportive of yourself. And so that practice of self-appreciation is, the first place to start. And, if you want, to change or to embark on a transformative or manifestation journey, for me, it's really important that it comes down to your relationship with yourself, with how you talk to yourself, how you're using your attention and your intention on a regular basis, and really seeing that you can start to collaborate with yourself and all the different parts of you, really taking into consideration parts therapy and using your imagination as a conscious tool to really develop a more supportive relationship with yourself. So then you can, take the next steps. And then the next one is compassion. And so that's really the practice inspired by Buddhist loving kindness meditation and internal family systems, of working with different parts of us, like our inner critic or our inner child, or, our future self, and really kind of developing relationships with these different parts in a way where okay, I feel, because when you're wanting new, exciting stuff to happen in your life, it's fun and it's inspiring, but then, oftentimes we do get triggered, or activated, and things come up, and it's really important that we're able to regulate and have compassion. Having compassion for these different parts of ourselves, I think, is one of the best ways to do that. And then from there, you're ready to have, the creativity, which is the third C, and that is really all about, taking your imagination as a conscious tool and moving it into action. So for me, that was a real distinction of understanding how I had kind of been working with this intuitively, maybe a lot of people have when they were younger, like dreaming and wishing and hoping things come true. But then when you learn hypnosis and self-hypnosis, you really learn how to use your imagination consciously and decipher the difference between imagination and fantasy. So creativity, being inherently active, is all about, just getting it done, doing it, taking action, putting yourself out there, letting go of it, the perfection of it, whereas fantasy can keep you stuck in delusion and fear and stuff like that. So creativity is really, really going for it and having fun with it.
Got it.
And then the fourth one is curiosity. So from there, you're really cultivating the sort of witnessing mind where you can be okay, this is very interesting. Oh, I didn't expect that, but wonder why that's happening. Okay, what can we do now? I feel like curiosity really lends itself, already to having a somewhat of confidence in yourself and being more and more comfortable with the unknown, which I think is important for any kind of transformative journey. And then the last one, but arguably the most important, is community. So really understanding that, when we put ourselves out there to help clients, to, manifest projects, to write a book, we're not doing anything really alone. We do it in connection to the world around us, to our community, to people, and that we're really connected. So what we're wishing for ourselves has an impact. It's really important to understand the intention of what you want, but also the impact that it will have, and understanding that's a really powerful thing to take into consideration, and that we're not just living in a silo type thing. So that I really like to bring, and there are certain daily exercises, but also concepts with each one of those pillars that help people build their own, self-hypnosis practice. And also in that process, it really becomes their own, so it's at first a craft, and then it becomes an art for them.
Just for the sake of our listeners, I think it should be pointed out that you must be close to a window or something, that there are traffic noises and people.
Sorry. There's a factory across the way. I thought it doesn't come through with the headphones.
I was hearing a car horn and of somebody backing up, a beeping of a.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, it's okay.
I've learned to tune it out now, but I didn't realize it was so
long enough to tune that. People listening might go, "What the heck is that sound on there? Look out! There's a truck backing up." So, yeah. getting back to the important focus of our conversation. So, the fourth one, the curiosity. I think curiosity is, to me, a really important state.
Mhm.
A really important state to be able to hone and have at your fingertips. Because when stuff happens, if you can just be like, "Oh, isn't that interesting?" and be
Mhm.
curious about it, it's a powerful resource state, I think.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it is kind of like that mindfulness or that awareness, but it is something about confidence too. I mean, it's taken me a long time, I think, to cultivate, and it's a practice for sure. And to feel like I can get out of that, amygdala, limbic system, fight or flight.
Mhm.
And when I can engage, the prefrontal cortex or more like evolved part of the brain where you can really see like, oh, okay, yes, this is happening, which is very important. Like we need to realize like, okay, this is happening. If you want something to change, you have to accept it, right? But
Yeah.
then you have to be able to see options and possibilities. So yeah, I think if more people could get curious, the world would be a better place right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you do coaching, do you basically take a person through those 5 steps, or is that like, are those 5 keys that you say without any one of those, you're not gonna get there, so we need to make sure that all 5 keys are happening? I mean, how do you utilize this in your coaching practice?
I do start with the self collaboration. I kind of go. It is more or less sequential, but
Okay.
you know, I do give daily practices. The number one from the start and even in the end is the daily practice before you go to sleep of reviewing your day and retrieving 3 things that you can thank yourself for. And it's like a very, one of those really simple, short memory training exercises because it spikes like attention and novelty, because you're not just saying gratitude for anything and everything. It's very specific and it's new things every day. And so it really trains your brain to track the progress and the positivity. And you do it as if you're your own best friend. So like, calling yourself by your name, really in that self-hypnosis practice, being like, okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then you're really, it's very simple, but it is quite remarkable over time how your brain starts to look for things that are positive and the progress that has been made. And so then when you do get triggered or that fight or flight
Mhm.
system kind of activates, you are able to be like, you know what? Yes, this is a bummer, but I have my own back. And so really kind of making sure that those are exercised and that awareness is kind of in place is super important. Um, and
Do
then, yeah,
where do you put your first name or your own name in there?
what's that?
You said something about doing it with your own first name?
Yeah, that's something that I really like, and I've just found that there's research that supports it. Before I thought it was anecdotal, but there is scientific research that supports when you call yourself by your name, you
Mhm.
are engaging this kind of witnessing, effect in your brain, and people who do that tend to have more confidence in themselves and their abilities.
Huh. So if
So
I
it's
was to review my day at nighttime before bed and so think of 3 things that I'm grateful for, that I can thank myself for.
thank yourself, yeah. Mhm.
So, how would I say that? It's like, "Thank you, Doug, for, taking out the garbage today," or
Yes, exactly. And that's the other thing. It's really it's not like, oh, you have to get some gold stars like if you did something great. It's more just like, okay, what happened today? First of all, like, sometimes we don't even remember what happened in the day. So just like looking at the day and being like, okay, oh yeah, that was tough. Thank you so much for how you handled that or for, not being so hard on yourself. Thanks for going for that walk. Thanks for
where do you put your name in?
So you would say to yourself,
Yeah.
in your I think it's even most effective not even writing it down, just saying it in your mind because then you're really like kind of engaging that self-hypnosis practice. So I would say, thank you, Shauna. Thanks, Shauna, for going to that yoga class. I appreciate it. That was good. I know you were tired, but you did it, and that was great. And so yeah, so just getting into the mode of referring to yourself by your name because it is a little bit like that parts therapy situation where you're like, okay, if I'm really, you know, asking people to be there and develop a relationship with themselves, like they're their own loved one or their own best friend,
Mhm.
then this is a, you know, a specific tool that actually helps them do it. And it helps the brain to, you know, really exercise that, you know, in a specific way. So.
Yeah, no, I can see that, and I can feel it, and I thank God there's scientific evidence that proves it. Otherwise, I wouldn't trust myself. But don't you just love it when scientific evidence backs up what we know to be true? Um, yeah, and tell me about this. When you said three things, what is there something special about finding three things as opposed to two or four or whatever?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it has to be easy and repeatable, and then it becomes, you know, a habit. And
Mhm.
so, and it has to be more than one. So you're really kind of like going through like a little series. But if it's, you know, I feel like five, maybe it's too much. Three, you really connect with each one and quickly. And so I find it to be effective like that. And plus, I'm like all about the three wishes, you know, all that stuff.
Can you
But
do
yeah.
four if you want to?
Yeah, you can do 4, you can do 5, but I think, you know, you wanna focus in too and really feel it,
Uh-huh.
you know? Yeah, but if you so that's the key. So, for example, other exercise that I have, like with the creativity exercise, which is where I'm having people write like big wish lists, you know? Where that's really about, yeah, I suggest 5, but it could be 10 because you wanna like, you know, just really dream and think about what's possible and have fun with it. And so more is great in that sense. But then when I go into the trance state, and I encourage them to really focus in on the top 3 so they can really bring their focus there and really receive that in their mind, you know? Like really imagine it and feel it and focus in on it. And so I think it's the same thing with that appreciation exercise as well, because you really want to make each one count, you know?
Mhm, mhm. Cool.
Mhm.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Shauna, what did you do before you did hypnosis? Did you have a career prior to?
Yeah, I did. I had like a brief little career in my 20s, kind of. Um, so yeah, I came to New York and I didn't know what, I'm not even sure what exactly I wanted to do, but I did want to do something creative. I was very interested in kind of working for myself and fashion
Mhm,
and writing. I also want to do like some fashion journalism type stuff. And so what happened was I ended up getting a job for a fashion designer who had her own company. She was an independent fashion designer, had a few stores, and I ended up like just doing everything for her. We ended up opening a few stores together, and that was really fun too. Because I was like, I really want to go to Miami. This was the Wishcraft was also in the process there too. Now that I think about it, I was like, my friend was moving to Miami. I was like, why don't we open a store in Miami? And she was like, great, let's open a store in Miami. And then there was this whole thing with making shoes, and then we started making shoes, and I was like, I really want to go. I know somebody in Peru. You know, maybe we can go there and make shoes. She's like, great, I'll send you to Peru to make shoes. I'm like, perfect. So that was quite fun, but it wasn't great in the sense that it was just like it was kind of like being John Malkovich. It was just like being her, you know, running her business, doing her whole thing, and it was quite stressful. And it was like my whole life, you know.
mhm.
And then I at this also on the side of that, I was publishing a magazine with a few friends from college that was here in New York called Swoon Magazine, and it was about featuring like local, like New York underground fashion designers, photographers, you know, artists, things like that. And they
Right.
were both really, really consuming and exciting and fun,
Yeah.
but it was all about featuring other people. And I did get really pretty burnt out doing it because I was just like going and responding to whatever was asked of me. And I was like, what am I doing? Like I'm like running around in circles, and I'm like, I don't even care about like this stuff. Like, at a certain point, I just was like, I don't know. I don't know if I can do this anymore. So, and it was really wearing on my health and all that stuff. And so in college, I had studied English literature and social work. And I did have like an internship that was very influential in social work. And I did do a little teaching right out of college, like teaching English as a second language and stuff. And I didn't really pursue any of that, you know, with any great professionalism. But then at that when fashion things started when really wasn't working out, I was like, you know, I want to go back to kind of like helping people in some way. And so I had thought, my therapist at the time actually was also a social worker. He was like, just go back and get your master's in social work. Just go back and you'll be fine. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I can do that now though. I'm like, no, I have to do it. It's my only option, you know? And that's when I found Melissa Tears, like right around there. So, and then that was it. It was hypnosis from that point on.
And how did you come to found the Divine Feminine School of Hypnosis?
The name is now the Divine School of Hypnosis. Actually, I'm taking out the feminine. But
feminine.
Yeah, I'm going to take out the feminine because it's really just, it was all about that, speaking to the energy of what the divine feminine kind of represents, like in terms of creativity, community, collaboration, stuff like that, those qualities. But I feel like, it doesn't need to be gendered. I don't want any confusion there around that. So, but the divine will still be there.
So tell me about the divine part.
The divine part is for me, like, I find that, over the years, having had the privilege to work with so many different people in my own private practice, I was just always struck by that, no matter what people's faith systems or belief system was, the experience of hypnosis is really sort of this very beautiful, like kind of almost sacred moment where they're connecting to, something bigger than themselves, whether it be their, kind of hope or dreams, or, empowered by whatever their faith or their belief system is. And so I just love that it's not like, kind of appropriating any sort of spiritual or religious school of thought. And really it's a technique and a tool to empower people to kind of get in touch with that field of divine possibility within them. So that's why I named it that. And I was trained by Melissa, and I love her work so much. And I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for her. But I did feel like I really wanted to have a training that was kind of like long and in depth, and really kind of a mentorship style that really spoke to people who wanted to have a little bit more of a kind of like spiritual slash, kind of creative, so to speak, practice, or really working with the imagination as like in reverence to the imagination. And so that's why I went out there with the name called the Divine School of Hypnosis, because I feel like it's a great training if you really want to go deep into kind of like the more spiritual side aspect of hypnosis.
That's great. So tell me, if people wanted to get hold of you, we'll of course include this information in our program notes and stuff, but how would people get hold of you if they wanted to get hold of you, Shauna Cummins?
I think that the Instagram is probably the easiest if people are Instagram, it's at the Wishcraft, or my website, shaunacummins.com, and you can just email me at info@shaunacummins.com.
Cool. So at the Wishcraft for Instagram, folks.
Yes.
Cool.
And I wanted to say, with the Divine Feminine School of Hypnosis and your training too, I feel like it's a great training to do with like Melissa's training or your training to like round it out. If people wanted to do more in-depth, like kind of spiritual hypnosis, in addition to the great trainings that are also out there that are, also very thorough. And so, yeah.
Oh, well, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for being here today. So much.
Thank you. It was great to connect again. I really miss the office and, seeing people on a regular basis. So,
just so people know what we're talking about here, we used to share an office, Shauna, and I had not specifically share an office. You had your office, I had my office, but it was in a group of offices run by Melissa Tears. It was called the Center for Integrative Hypnosis in New York City.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah, that was nice.
Sorry to see that go. One of the casualties of COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But this is great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good. Thanks. This has been the Essential Coaching Skills Podcast. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure seeing you again. Hope to see you again real soon. Come back next week when we have another gripping and exciting episode of the Essential Coaching Skills Podcast. And if you want to, you can find out more about us, each and every one of us, at essentialcoachingskills.com. Thanks.